Hello guys, once again I managed to get a video recording screen application, so now we are good to go. So therefore I'm gonna create a new project. So I'm gonna redo everything that we did. So I'm gonna create a new project here. So we navigate to our desktop and then we create a new project. We're gonna call it test 5. We create a new project, so therefore I want to do everything. So I'm gonna do those arrays, and we're gonna learn how to do uh, to to navigate to a new folder, a new page when we click on the user to get their information. So let's just give it some time. Alright, now let's navigate to our project, which is test 5. Then let me clear the screen terminal. Then let's run our project. So now I'm going to go here and drag this project to the Visual Studio editor. So from here now I'm going to remove what we don't need. I'm going to app, and I'm going to remove here. I'm going to go scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and I'm going to cut and delete everything, then paste my router outlet. So I'm done with this one. So now I am going to create a new terminal, and then under here what we're gonna have, we're going to have create a new component, service, and a class. Just wait for our project to open. Okay, our project's compiled successfully. Now we opened it here, so I'm just gonna close these other pages so that we have the only project running, which is http host. It's running on port 4200. So this is our project. So I'm gonna do the inspect element, and then so we can see the console. Now I'm gonna minimize this. All right. Now, okay, this we don't need. We have this, and then now let's go and generate a new component landing page for here. Let's say ng generate components, folder name pages, the file name is called landing. So I'm going to generate another page which is called profile ng generate component pages, name of the file profile, and then I'm going to go again and generate a new service. So let's say ng generate service. Under the folder services, name of the service is called API. So we have a service API, and then now I'm going to generate a class ng generate class under services, and then this class I'm gonna call it details. Now we're gonna go. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do any style sheet, so you will do that on your own. So we have our pages generated and services generated. Now let's go and make the landing page the one to be rendered when the site the portal load. So I'm going to go uprooting, and I'm going to create the path redirect to landing. We want landing to be the one opened first when this the site load. Landing path match full. Then now I'm going to go here and say path, then landing component is landing component in this case, and then I'm gonna do again for the about. I wanted to have what we call that thing. I wanted to have an ID, a reference ID. When we click, it must pass an ID. Like when we click on a user inside the landing, it must pass an ID to the next page so that we can access that data from the specific user. So we're gonna have something like about / then we pass in a reference. We pass reference, and then component. No, it's a profile. It's actually profile, not about. It's profile. The name of the page is profile. Okay, now we are done. We have everything set up, and then when it loads, it's gonna say landing works. So we are sorted. So now what we need to do, I'm going to go here. Since we generated a class and a service, so we're gonna have to go to app module and declare them inside the provider so that we can be able to use them, so that when our app loads, when it compiles, it can compile these two pages, these two files we created. So we're gonna go here and say API services, and then again we have the detail, the name of the class. so it imported them automatically for us. This is the intelligence, this is the path and path. So we are done here, so we're going to close, and then now we can move to the details class. So inside this class I want to create what do we call, let me create days, since we created something like this before, and then unfortunately we didn't manage to record it. So days, so inside this array we're gonna have Sunday, Saturday, and then we're gonna have Monday, and then we're gonna have Tuesday, and we're gonna have Wednesday, and then we're gonna have Thursday, and then lastly it's Friday. So these are the days of the week. So we have the days of the week, so we are done. So now I'm gonna create another array. This one we're gonna use it when we want to learn how to, when we click on the user, it must output that specific user details. So let's create an array, maybe let's say persons, any or persons. So here, under here we have the first one, it's we can call it users. So it's users. So under users we will have ID, which is user ID, which it must be unique so that we can identify our users. And then from here we can have name, I can call it the table, and then here we can have I'm just doing a simple data so that we can finish. I can do this quickly. Applications developer, and then what we can have again is we can have something like, I think we are done with this one. So it's user, and then we can have maybe a few users. We can have 3 users or maybe 4. Then the ID must be different. Then you can have myself, and then you can have software developer, applications manager, different name. Just a normal developer. You can different name. Now we are done with this one. So we have users. So our users, these are the users, and then yeah. Now let's go. I'm going to add another one here. I'm going to add another array under here, so we can have maybe users. So under the users maybe we can have like maybe the job information, something like that. But now I'm just gonna do this one, then gonna do another one as we move on. So we have this currently. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm going to import this inside our services class, inside our services file. So this is the services. So we're gonna go here and create a new variable, public data. So public data, you must be equal to the details. Details is the name of the class, that we exported. So it automatically imported it. So this is the directory, and then now we can use it. So let's create a function to return weekdays. So let's say get days, doesn't receive any argument, so get days. So we say return data dot we want to return days. We don't want persons, so days is the one that we know. It contains Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and blah blah. So it's days. So we are good to go. Now we can now go and use it anyway. So now let's go this site. We want to access this get days function inside our landing component. So we can go to landing component.ts, and then we can go and import it inside here. So we create a new variable weekdays, call it weekdays. So now we are going to access the API class, which is API services is the name of the class. So now we are good. It's been imported there automatically for us. Now we can use this. Then I'm gonna delete this, since our function it must not return void. So weekdays, so we're going to display our weekdays here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to create a new variable. I'm gonna create a variable and I call it days. It's contain any, and then we're gonna go here and say days equals to weekdays dot get days. Now we have our days. Now we can go this, we can use it here to display it. So now we have to move to landing component.html. So I'm gonna go here and say maybe create h4, so weekdays. So under here we will have weekdays, which is gonna be the dev, ng4, which is a loop, ng4. So now I'm gonna say weekdays. If I don't do anything this side, let me check. I'm checking something. I'm gonna call them days. So days of days, but I don't think it's good because it's gonna have days of days. So maybe let's get like items, and let's just call it items. So this days is from here. It's this one, it's this new variable that we created. So our new variable contains the array. This array is the one that we created inside the details for file class. So now we can use it under here. So we can go and display weekdays. So now we managed to display our weekdays, and then I'm gonna show you the for loop. Where can I create maybe an if statement, int to display only weekends. So I want to create something that will display only the weekends, since we have like Sunday and Saturday. So only do the weekend, and then let's go dive in. So div. Okay, so let me just create it under here to avoid creating more code. I'm just gonna create it under here, and then we're gonna have something like div ng if ng if. So it's ng if what do we need? If items equals to Sunday, or items equals to Saturday, else I'm creating if else, then else we're creating a new template else, then I'm gonna call it else template. You can call it whatever that you want, else template, then we close. So now we can go here and say items, then we want to check which items are going to be displayed. Then let's remove this and let's save, and let's see. So now we displayed our items. See, Sunday and Saturday it's the weekends only. We want to display the weekends, so they're displayed there. So this thing is the one that I just removed here. So we only displayed what? The weekends. So it's Sunday and Saturday. So now we can go and use the else one. So we want to else it must display those remaining days. So we can go here and say maybe let me put this thing under paragraph and say paragraph. I want to do a paragraph, and then this paragraph I want to style it so it can show a different color. So P okay, I'm just gonna do a style sheet inside here. Just gonna do internal style sheet, not external one. Style color red. I'm doing an internal style sheet, but you know I don't like to do this internal style sheet. So now we have blah 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 blah, but you can go here and say maybe you can go and create a list if you want. You can go and say maybe list ordered lists and li, then you can go say you want to display this inside here and post. So now we display Sunday and Saturday, so we can go and cut this, and then we want this one to be in red. So I want to go into this one. So now we have our list there. So now let's display the remaining days, which is else one. So we're gonna go here and say the ng template. So hashtag name of the template, which is this one. So we copy and then we paste it there. It must be else template. So we are done. Then we can go and say we want to display this, the remaining days. I'm gonna copy, paste, and then I'm gonna say maybe this, there must be black. So we have Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, weekend, weekday. So it's weekend and weekday. So this is how we do the else statement. So yeah, now I'm going to move forward and create that array that we created, persons. I want to create something when we click on the persons, it must take us to a new page and it must display the persons details. So I'm gonna go back to API services and create a function get persons array. So we want to get the persons array only. persons array. So let me go here again. Since I said I wanted to add something, I'm going to add a new I'm going to add a new array, which is going to, we can call it I'm going to call it subject. It's a new array. Subject, it's a new array. So under here I'm going to have like we're gonna have subject ID. Maybe let me include something like this, and then we're gonna have user ID, which in this case is this one, because we want to match these tables by user IDs. So we're gonna have something like this here, which is user ID. So it's gonna be this and this, and then what else? I cannot do because say blah blah. Okay, semicolons, and then we're gonna have like subject name, let's say life science, and then we're gonna have maybe yeah, let me just do this 3 only. I'm gonna copy, paste, paste. So I'm just going to replace this life orientation, life skills, and English, and I can have maths. So I'm just gonna grab this one, this user, and then copy, paste here. I'll go and grab another user, bring this user here. I did a mistake. Just this one, I copied this and this, copy, paste, then lastly is this one, paste. So I'm just gonna change maybe these numbers here, 1, 2, 3. So now we are done. We have 2 arrays which inside our persons array. So now let's go this side, and then we want to get the persons array. So get the users, and then we're creating something to get users, all the users. So we are returning data dot, now we need to access this one, persons. Then inside the persons we are done, and then now we can go inside here and display it. Then I'm going to create a new variable, users, any users, any, and then we can go here and say we want to display users, and then we're going to go users equals to weekdays. I should have named this thing something else, because now you see, we'll think that I'm still using the weekdays. Maybe we can change it and say we name it data. We name it data to avoid something like, to avoid even weekdays as a name. Data dot get users. So we have users, get users. So this one I'm gonna make it an array. It must be an array because the user, I think it's a parallel arrays. So yeah, it's parallel arrays. So we have users, then we can say console dot log users. Where do I get user info? Users. This thing we don't know where it comes from. List of the users. Then we can go back and check on our console. We want to see the array. So inside our users we have a subject and we have users. Users, these are the users, and then these are the subject. So I want to display only this one. So in our parallel array, I want to display this one. So I'm going to go here and say create a new variable. I can call it profiles. I'm going to take a type of any. So under profile, now I'm going to do this which is function here using arrow functions. So we're gonna have something like users dot for each. I'm gonna use for each function for each. Then I'm just gonna say element. Can name it. This is a variable that you create. You can name it whatever that you want. Then arrow function here. Then I'm doing this to remove this 0. I don't want this 0 to appear here. I only want subject and users. We don't want this 0. We're getting rid of that 0. So now we can go here and say, maybe let's say console dot log, then element. Element, the variable that we created. So we want to see how it displays because we don't want to see this 0. Now you see we got rid of that 0. We only have subject and then the users. Now we can display whoever that we want. So we can go here and say now we have this profiles, and then we can go to profiles, profile equals to element. We want to display, we want to get only the users, and then I can go and say console copy paste, and then I can like profiles. You will see how it's going to display only this. So it's this, see, this is the one that we need. This is the one that we need. We don't need this, we need this. This is the new one that we need. So now we can go and display them here. We are displaying them using what? The profile. Copy profile, and then we go to landing page, and then now we can say users div ng, which is a for loop, ng for item, let's say user then which is profile, and then we can create UI list, and then we can display our people here. Let's say item, you can say user, and to show you something, see what's gonna happen. you will see what's going to happen. So it says it's users and it's object, meaning our array contains object. It's not a single array like this one that we did. So meaning it's object, meaning we have like a user ID and name, and then there's a bio. So meaning these are our objects. So meaning we need to go here and say user dot name. We want to display name. So now it displays it's the tab of flip blah blah blah. So this is how you achieve on displaying that. So now we want to say when we click on this user, it must take us to a new page, and that page, it must display only the person that we clicked, and it must output his information, his subject and everything. So we're gonna go back here and say we're creating a router, router link. We want to create this router link, and there's a path, and then that path it's a profile, and then a profile we are passing an ID. The ID it's a user. We are passing the ID. The ID, remember, every user has its own unique ID, so we are passing a user ID. So we're gonna say user dot user ID. We are passing a user ID. So we can go here and close. We can have this. Let me wrap this thing. Put it. Yeah, let me just put it here and say this must be inside here. I'm wrapping that link inside here. This thing's inside here. Now you see we have this. Now this name is applicable. We can click on this one and say it passed the ID, and then we can go back and then we click it passed the ID, which is 770. Can click here, it passes the ID. So now we are done with this one. So we know when we click, it's gonna take us to a new page, and then it's gonna pass the user ID. So now we can go, we can close this one. We don't need it. So remember, I said I'm not going to do any style sheet on these things. You can go and work with your style sheet when you want. So now I'm going to go and close this, and then close this. So we're gonna only have this. We don't need. We need this we don't need. So we're gonna create a function to get only one user that we click. When we click here, it must get the table information only. So I'm gonna need something like gonna go to, now we are working inside the profile TS and the profile HTML. So we're gonna start with this, the profile.ts. So maximize. So our function must return something, not void. So now we're going to export the services inside the profile component. So we're going to create a new variable under here, which is public. I'm going to call it data, and then we are passing the API services class. So we are done. So now here what we need, we create variables. So we're creating variables. We're creating variables now. Variable is gonna contain a user. It's gonna call it user, which is type of any. It's gonna contain the user information, and I'm gonna create another one, a variable that is gonna grab that ID, the user ID on that link. We're gonna grab that user ID. I'm gonna call it root, which is type of any. So to grab that thing, we need to import the router outlet. I mean the activated root. We need to import it inside here. So we're gonna create this one. I'm just gonna call it ref instead. I'm gonna say ref, and then we're gonna go and create a new variable here, which is called root. So this root is gonna take and activate it. We want a root here. Root. So it's called the root activated. It's called activated. Something like activated root. Activated root. I don't know why it doesn't. Must give me suggestions. I need that activated root. Okay, doesn't give me the suggestions, so I'm just gonna go and grab it here because I forgot it, but it's activated root. I'm gonna go and grab it here quickly. I'm gonna get it here. Grab it inside here. It's activated root, so I don't know why it's not doing it for us, because I don't like going around memorizing things which we know we just go. It must do them automatically for us. So it's activated the root. So I have it now. Yeah, it's activated the root. So I don't know why it's not does not give me the suggestion. You get it now. So like I needed this, like it must just give me the says activated root. So now we have it. Now we're gonna go, first of all we grab get user ID, then we're gonna go ref equals to root dot snapshot dot paramaps dot get we're getting what? The reference. The reference is the one that we created here. You must get the name is this one. Copy it, paste it here. So getting that reference is here now. So we know now when we say we want to, when we click here, it will get at this one. We can say console dot log, then ref we want to see it if it works when we click. So let's cancel this and say click. So you see we have reference now. Is this one that we need. So now we can go and say we want to get only the person that we clicked data. So we go here, API services. Now we create a function, get single user data. So you can say get persons, let's say get user info. So this one in this case is gonna receive an argument. That argument we're gonna call it, it's a reference. It must receive a reference. So in this case we want to get only the person we clicked data. So I'm going to create a variable here. going to create a variables declaration. So the first one I'm going to users. I'm going to call it users. Just type any, and the second one I'm going to call it person. Just type in. So they're gonna contain the information that we need from the single user. So here we know that inside that array, the parallel array, we have two, which is user and the subject. So I'm going to go and say users equals to data dot, we need persons it is this dot data dot persons. So we have this, we know now users contains this. Now we can say user dot for each loop, creating for each, then I plus to this, and then now we can equate this. What I'm doing here is exactly what I did on the landing page where I was doing the arrow function. So now I want to get the single user, but first I need to arrange my array very well. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna say persons equals to I. So I, we want to get what do we want? We want to get only these users. Then we can say users. Then it goes. Then we have this persons dot I that we know now this, we are sorted with it. So let me do this and so for my document. So now we managed to get the person's information only. So now we can say we want to get the selected person data using this. So I'm just gonna go return which is person dot what do we call this? Any person dot find. It must show us something. It's a new variable e dot user ID which equals to, it must be equals to the reference that we created. So this must get us the only person that we want to display information. Might be person dot find any, find this person. So we can go here and say this okay, we are fine. Can go here and say, where is that thing? Where is it? Profile, blah blah. Okay, now let's get the user equals to data dot, we want to get that function that we created with get users info. So we know get users info must contain an argument. So the argument in this case is ref. Now we can say console dot log, and then we say users. Now we can go back and see what's happening. Now we can see it's working. Since we clicked this, it's getting only this person's data, which is in this space is a table clubbing. So we can go back and say we click Philip, and then now we get Philip. So meaning that we managed to get the single user data. So we got the single user data. So this is how you get it. First of all, we manipulate our parallel array, and then we can do the dot find only the user that we clicked. So we can go now and say we want to display this person who clicked here. We want this person to be the information to be displayed here only. So we can go here and say where is it, where is that thing, where is that thing, where is it? I need the profile, and then we can go here and say can call it profile. So we have profile, so div ng if is gonna contain this, which is user. So if you don't write ng if, your things want to display ng if. So ng if this is true, then it might display the user that we want. So it's going to be user dot name and then what else, we have bio, user dot bio, then we have user dot it's only that, it's only user dot, but we're going to go and display the subject of this user. So we can save now, you see what happens. And now we got the profile, which is Philip, and then clubbing and developer. I can say I am la a say my name is, and I am a developer. So my name is Philip McLavin and I am a developer. So we can go back and click Matumi. My name is Matumi McLavin and I am an application developer. So now we can go and display their subject under them. We will create another function, get single user subject. We'll create another subject here, function to get their information. So where's that API that we created? The class. So our class, we have the subject. So the subject, we have subject ID, life science, and blah blah and everything. So you can go and add as many things as you want. So now we can go back here and say we want to display only the person subject. We can go and create something similar to this, or you can have a different method to approach it. So I'm just gonna start with a method that I think it will work first. So if it doesn't work, then I'll create another method. I'll go for another method. So get subject. So our subject must receive an argument also. So it's the same as these things, because it must receive a reference or something like this. You can do it here, or you can do it in here also. So it's the same thing, so you don't need to be struggling with them. So we can go and say ref, and then I'm just gonna copy this just to save time. Copy paste, and then now we need subject. We don't need that. So we know, like inside that array we have subject. So I'm gonna copy paste. So I'm avoiding to do a lot of things because it's the same thing that we need. So what do we have here? It's user ID. Okay, it's fine. So it's the same thing as this. So then we can go back and say users, then say subjects, and it's any. So we're gonna create something similar to this again. Then we can say get subjects. So we can say subjects equals to data dot get subjects. So a subject receives an argument, which is in this case it's a reference. Ref. So we can say console log subjects, and then we save and we check. So now we have subject, his subject are this, and then this, and then we can go here and say we want to display the subject, and then see if this is durable ng4, then I say subject. I want to see if it's durable. I never did this what I'm doing now, so I just want to see if it works. If it works, then it's a go. So meaning we cannot have two ng if statement under one thing. So we can say cancel this, and then we can say create a new one, the range if. So if so let's say before we can say subject, and then we know we have subject. Under subject we have subject dot what else do we have, and then we have subject name, something like this. So it must have compiled and it must display what we need. It must display what is it called? Okay, left J here. Subject name. Subject, then it's English, blah blah. Yeah, so this is how you do it, guys. And then I believe that you're gonna go and practice on your own and then do this, and then you can go and add more information you want. You can go and add anything that you want, like you can go and say you can go and add code. Then we know is subject dot sub id, something like this. What does it call it? Okay, it's a capital letter I. So now the subject I code is there. Then we can have subject name, then we have code. Then my name is Matumi and I am an application developer. Application manager. Subject name English, code. This is the subject code, which is subject code, and then we are done. So I showed you how to then blah blah, and then go back, then you can click Tyson, then math, You go back and click Matumi. Go back and click this. So this is how we do it. So I hope you guys go and learn, and then you do these things the way I did them, and then you can go and add. So I'm going to share this video, and I'm going to share a project that I need you to do based on what we learned so far. So the next session, maybe I'm going to do the interfaces, and then for interfaces I'm going to do the forms now, where we click, we input information, then we can update our array, so then we can move forward. And then yeah, so this is the end of our session.